Well, that's it. Let's load up.
Coming down here, I know I have a lot. We have 2 more days of diving, and I know I have a lot more years of diving. So I'm not putting a lot of pressure to shoot fish. I know I will. I just love being here, really. It's awesome.
So started the morning off missing a 40-pound mahi at about 10 foot, so that one hurt. The boys were whacking tuna, and I had 2 misses. One was point blank, 50-pounder from me to you, and he was 8 feet away, lined him up, perfect shot, boom, just missed. Don't know what happened. On me, physical mistake, not a mental mistake.
Here's the crazy part. We filmed every single drop all day long. Neither one of us were wearing the GoPro at this moment.
On the last dive of the day, punched it to about 40 feet, and there was nothing, no dolphins, no bait, no tuna, and then I kind of turned about 90 degrees, and out of nowhere came a Mac Daddy, 120-pound yellowfin out of the murk, and he was swimming left to right, so I let him a little bit. It was going to be a pretty far shot, so I just said screw it, extended my gun, gave it about 4 hard kicks, and let it rip. 15-yard shot. Well, we ended up seeing the slip tip went through the gut out the other side and stuck him halfway decent.
When we start bringing it up closer, I told him, I said, hey, Joe, if you're going to put a second shot in this fish, make sure that it's in the head and you're killing it, or you're putting a second shot in the body to hold it because the slip tip's about to rip out.
So I went down there and I saw, oh, crap, the slip tip is not in there great. If he makes another run, it's probably going to pull. I didn't have a good headshot with the reel gun. I was about 40 feet, so I figured I'm going to put it right behind his gill, safe holding shot, and now we're going to have 2 lines in him. The second I hit him, he ran like crazy, sounded for the bottom. Slip tip actually pulled, and I didn't know it at the time. But I got to the surface. The line on the reel was just getting pumped out. CJ had unclipped, you had unclipped the float, hooked it to the reel, I locked the drag, and boom.
So now what you have is a flopper shaft with a reel, and it's the gun itself is attached to a buoy.
Correct.
That's all you have.
That's
on
all
this
we had.
fish.
Boys on the boat gave us a 3rd gun, and I ended up grabbing that. CJ worked the fish up to about 45 feet, and I went down to put the 3rd shot in it, and right when I got about 12 foot away, he saw me, spooked, sounded again. I'm sure I wasn't on the surface, but I'm sure he pulled the buoy, and I came back up, did a quick 2-minute breathe up. CJ worked the fish up to about 40 feet. I could see he was totally gassed, made a quick drop, had him point blank. It felt amazing because I knew at that point the battle was over. Lined him up, boom, right in the face. Pulled him in, and then CJ got a knife in his head.
When you woke up this morning, did you think that we were going to shoot tuna?
No. So when I woke up this morning, really didn't have a plan to shoot tuna. Had no clue we'd shoot tuna. We really were just going to go looking for mahi. If we stumbled upon some dolphins or something, maybe check them. But we end up we see a nice mahi on a log and had a good chance. Ended up we blew it, but it is what it is. As soon as we leave there, I don't know, 5 minutes of running looking for more logs, we end up on a school of tuna. And then from there it was all day, non-stop, jumping behind the boat chasing tuna.
Forget me if I'm wrong, but I think you connected on your very first tuna.
Oh yeah, it was the first shot for sure that I got to take at one. First time I saw him, I ended up killing him. No, first or second drop of the day where I ended up in tuna. And it was not the closest shot in the world because, I mean, I had smaller fish closer, but the better fish out of the school to me was one that was a little further. So anyway, being that I had some issues, before chasing wahoo with the gun that I was running, and come to find out it was more my mistakes than the gun, I was a little worried about power, but that shot right there pretty much proved it to me. I blew right through the fish, I don't know, at least 15 feet away or so. Just the way it worked out, it was my turn, and we ended up in a good school again. So I ended up with the second fish on the boat. So the second fish was definitely nicer than the first. So in the next 2 days here, I'm hoping to definitely get a Cubera at some point. But I will say that being able to go dive tuna like that under the dolphins, I don't know that I could pass it up if it's there every day.
What's cool here is you get to target specific fish. You get to see a lot of them. You don't have to deal with sharks. And then the people and the whole area, being a part of the culture. Yeah, being a part of the culture and meeting these people. And I mean, I can't even speak Spanish, but we still make it work. I definitely had tuna fever, and some of them. And it got to the point where I was taking shots I probably shouldn't have taken, just because I really wanted to shoot one. Yeah, so we saw, it was pilot whales, I think it was. I've never seen any kind of whale in my life. So much less, not only did I get to see whales, I got to jump in, dive down next to 3 of them. And there was a big tuna that came up and swam next to the whale. So just doing stuff like that, it's something you don't get to experience every day. Yeah, the wildlife here is really something I was just looking forward to seeing. Oh, I'm definitely excited about the other reef species. Cubera's on the top, it's close to the top of my list in general. Yeah, so diving the reefs and trying to shoot a big Cubera it's a trophy fish for a lot of people. So being able to come here and hopefully see big schools of them at pretty good sizes, that's why we drove down here, really.
Joe is one of those guys who fits well with any group that we put him with.
Let you know if there's any fish down there, soldiers. Oh yeah.
Actually put Joe together with a bunch of different groups that I've had with me over the last 2 years, and
20 feet. Over the truth.
Every single time the group always responds the same way. Joe's a great team diver. He's fun to be around.
For the record, yes, these are the same clothes I wore all day.
He's an absolute maniac, but we love him, right? And so he fit perfectly with these 2 guys. All they wanted to do is talk about duck hunting for a little while, which I still don't understand what the whole thing is about duck hunting, but a bunch of spearfishing guys really like duck hunting as well, so I might have to try it one of these days. I was trying to convince Joe yesterday to either A, take the GoPro off, or to shave the mustache. So when he shot his tuna, he pretty much looked at me and said, "It's not the mustache." What do we got?
Mushroom.
I don't know if we're gonna eat that one.
Back to Joe Danger here. Yesterday, I said on the way out, I was gonna shoot 100 plus yellowfin tuna, 40-pound mahi, and a 50 plus Cubera. Had my chance at the 40-pound mahi.
Stop walking so close.
Got the tuna. So we're 1 of 3, we're on track. Cubera, I know I got that one. Feeling it.
Chasing dolphins today, there was no part of me that felt like that was what we were gonna do. I thought it was gonna be a simple warm-up day, hop in on a big log, maybe find a mahi. We just found a log and it's got a big mahi on it, so we're gonna see which one of these guys are gonna be shooting this mahi, and it looks to be about 30-40 pounds, so let's see if we can get it. Start hunting all the different Pargo species, right? We have the Pargo amarillo, the Cuberas, the guacamayos, you name it. There's a ton of different types of snapper species down here. We have the Roqueros as well. Having all the equipment on the boat so we could switch hunting tactics was a big part of our success for today, right? So we were able to change gears and start hunting these tuna. When we were hunting these tuna, it was some of the best tuna hunting I've seen in a long time. I mean, there were walls of tuna, I mean, from as high up as 20 feet from the surface and as far down as 80 foot. Just consistent walls with hundreds and hundreds of tunas. Each time we saw the tunas, it was different. Sometimes it would be 15, 20, 30 pounders. Sometimes they were 100, 120, 130 pounders, right? And everything in between. So it really depended on how we made the drop. One of the things that weighs on me as a spearfishing guide is making sure that everyone's having fun. Tyler connected with 2 tuna right off the bat. He was stoked. He was a pretty good team member as well because he really cared about the success of Chase and Joe. So Tyler actually put himself in timeout, sat up at the front, offered his hands and services when applicable, right? Hey, let me help you with that. Let me help you with this line, whatever the case was. He really did a selfless act where he could have probably got in the water and shot a 3rd tuna. He cared more about the team which is one of the things I really love about spearfishing and these mixed groups is when these guys, you know, Tyler didn't know Joe, Joe didn't know Tyler, but Joe was excited for Tyler to shoot a tuna, and Tyler was equally as excited to give Joe more opportunities because Tyler genuinely wanted to see the smile and happiness on Joe's face from having success. When you have two guys who've never met each other before, but they're working towards a common goal, it's really cool to see how they work together. At one point in time, the sun's starting to set. Joe looks at me and says, "Hey, give me one more dive. You know, permission to engage." And I said, "Soldier, permission granted." He made that drop and he made it count. I saw the float line go off. I saw the float. I knew that it was a good fish before he even hit the surface. And when Joe hit the surface, he looked me in the eyes and he said, "It's a monster." You know, he was excited about it. I think I have that. Oh, actually, I don't even have that on GoPro. So here's the crazy part. The GoPros were off and the most epic thing did happen. Joe shot a 100-pound tuna, 100-plus pound tuna. As Joe shot this 100-plus pound tuna, I'm glad that Joe got the second shot that he did, because if Joe had not put the second shot in a good holding placement, we would have lost this fish. After Joe put the second shot in the fish, we actually had a 1,000-pound Spectra snap, which was the initial line that was holding the fish. Immediately, the fish sounded, started spooling the reel gun. I swam over to Joe and clipped a buoy to the reel gun just in time as the reel ended up being out of line. Joe was able to lock down that reel, and now that fish actually took the gun and the float underwater, and then we proceeded to fight and pull that fish on shooting line, which is crazy because shooting line is something that can be easily tangled, and when you're dealing with a 100-plus pound yellowfin tuna, they can be doing spirals, they could do all kinds of wild things, and he was running hard. This tuna had no give left. After we finally get the fish up and we get a third shot in it, that's when the pressure started to come off. We knew we had the fish. You could see Joe celebrating. The excitement levels coming out of this man were outlandish. When you land your first yellowfin tuna and it's, I'm gonna guess 120 pounds. You have the right to be excited. You have the right to celebrate. Being a part of these other people's stoke is what it is for me. Being able to do it myself is one thing. Being able to help other people get their first fish and share that stoke with them supersedes any feeling I could have for shooting a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth tuna. Okay, we got another one. Tyler got his second fish. Let's see what it looks like. Tyler, where you at, Bubba? Come on over here, let me see that thing. This one's a little bit bigger than the last one.
Oh yeah, this nice one.
Fish, man. Beautiful.
41.
Seeing his excitement was what was amazing for me. So I think we're gonna start focusing in a little bit more on the Pargos and see if we can't land one of these trophy Cuberas.
Do you want me to tell the story about the snake? The Serpiento? I don't know. I have like 30-degree sunburns on my face and entire body. But snake story, here we go. Just doing a breathe up, I look over, there's like a 3.5 foot long, highly, not poisonous, common mistake, venomous. You get bit 30 minutes in, dead, muerto. So I swim up this thing, had the GoPro on, wanted to get some sweet footage. Instead, the snake turns, swims at me as fast as he can. Never been as scared as that in the water in my entire life. Just starts splashing and thought I was going down. I mean, did a, later in the day, we were diving a wreck in about, what, 90 foot, 80 foot, pulling trigger at 70, 75.
It's the moment, it's the moment. Go get it.
for Joe Danger. Memento for Joe Danger.
Look, Danger. I mark fish behind of the buoy and in front of the buoy.
Behind it and in front of it.
Yeah, behind I think is wax snappers.
Okay.
You need past 60, 66.
Okay. We ended up shooting some nice Cubera there. Had a Pacific Goliath grouper apparently just charge me, barking. And had him point blank, perfect unicorn shot with the float line. He was a little bit off the wreck. We probably would have landed him. I think he just caught me off guard. You know, I thought, I'm kind of frowned upon killing a 200-pound fish, so I didn't pull the trigger, kind of regret it. Like I said, in hindsight, I would have shot the sucker. I mean, it is what it is. He charged me, I got a little scared, and you can see in my GoPro video, I'm literally backpedaling as he's on the counter offensive actually. Good battle strategy. He might have won that battle, but the war's not over yet, soldier.
Oh, that's right. He probably will get taken down.
Oh, yeah.
What was your thoughts on diving the reef today? Today's your first day diving the reef.
Reef was cool. It was super murky. Opened up at about 50 feet. It was cool seeing all the life. A ton of smaller snap, ton of spade fish, ton of fish I've never really seen before. It was cool. Wreck I enjoyed more.
What are you hoping to do? What are you hoping to
shoot about what's your personal best Cubera snapper? 60 pounds?
60 pounds.
61 pound Cubera snapper right in the face. Stone shot, roll them. Brain them, gut them on the way up. Natives, very cool. You know me, love history, love science, culture. Yeah, I didn't notice them until I saw a 4-foot arrow slinging by.
You didn't notice who?
The Native Americans. Actually, they're native Costa Ricans, bro.
I think we're wrapping this one up.
Dude,
all
let
right.
me get an Imperial, please.
Joe, we gotta get him out of here. Get him out of
Thanks,
here.
boys. Appreciate it.
In the beginning of the day, I think my second drop, I hit like 55 feet or so. So I was feeling good because I knew we had to get 60 plus for sure today, which being where we're at in the country, we're not diving a lot this time of year back home. So we're fresh on it. We haven't dove in months and months. So this is our second day. Figured hopefully we'll be warmed up by today. Second dive, went 55, 56, something like that, and then did another one over 50. Was feeling really good. The first spot, we didn't have a lot of fish on it. We decided to move quick. So we just made a few dives, got comfortable, and moved. Even on the second spot, I think the first couple of dives were 50 plus. Hit a mental block. I don't know, got uncomfortable. Being in a place you've never been, I guess. And also where we dive, we're not always diving out in open water. Totally different type of diving than what we do at home.
Absolutely.
So that was definitely probably making a big difference, I would say.
Today, the ear not giving me an issue was huge. It was a little tight, but compared to the way it was before I had the procedure I had done and everything, it was a lot better. Chase had 1 or 2 opportunities. He was doing pretty well in getting to see some fish, and I had really, at that point in the day, hadn't even made it deep enough to really get on a school of snapper. CJ was down there a couple of times and had seen some nice fish, and we all agreed, hey man, why don't you go down there and get one? You've been making all the dives with us, having to watch everything and seeing them. So we were all pumped to have CJ go down there and try and, well, we really pretty much were positive he would smoke one.
Holy Is this the wreck?
Yeah? What do you see?
I got stage fright. There was so many Cuberas.
I was actually watching the float line, and Malachi was feeding it to him. Thought I heard a shot. Sometimes you can hear the boat going in and out of gear when we're drifting like that. So I wasn't positive, but I thought I saw a little tug on the line right after I thought I heard the shot. And then there was nothing, and I was telling Malachi, I'm pretty sure he shot. And he pulled a little bit, but there was pretty much slack. And I don't know, 20, 30 seconds goes by, and here's CJ rolling up with a 35, 40 pound Cubera at the surface. He swam him right up to us. Like a real
I think mine might have been a little bit bigger, but not a bad fish.
So we came to Costa Rica to try and kill Cubera. They're very skittish, I guess you could say. I mean, as soon as they see a human, pretty much anywhere, pretty much as soon as they see a human roll up, you have a very short opportunity and they're getting out of dodge. It's a very tough fish to kill. And then on top of that, you have all those opportunities. You barely have a chance to get a shot, and you got to make a great shot because they're probably the strongest reef fish to shoot, or very, very close to the strongest reef fish to try and shoot.
My longest dive was 74, 75 feet for 1:20, which is personal best, so I'm pumped with that. I had my chance at a Cubera. He came broadside. I hit him, I think I hit him high in the back, and he took off down. When he took off,
What's the plan to dial it in for tomorrow?
I just keep diving. It's gonna happen. We're gonna make it work.
But you feel good on your dives. At the end of the day, you said your chest hurt.
Yeah, so last summer I had a little bit of a trachea squeeze. I was sidelined for a little while, but I felt a little bit of that today, but I think I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna push through it. So the reason we flew all the way to Costa Rica, came here for mainly Cuberas, is, to me, it's the same reason we all free dive. It takes a certain type of person. We like to push ourselves. We like challenges, we like everything. When you look at snapper and you look at Cubera are the king of snapper. And that's what we're here for. They're the strongest, they're the biggest, they're gonna make you work, it's gonna be a challenge diving for them. And I mean, that's what it's all about. So with the tuna hunting, and I had my opportunities on that too, but it's a little bit different than what most people think. I've seen videos, everybody's like, yeah, it's quick, it's tough. I didn't really understand it though. but you're in the boat, boat's moving, and when the captain tells you to be ready and jump, you have to jump. When the captain tells you it's time to jump off the boat, it's immediate war. You jump off, the deckhand's throwing floats over, you jump off, there's whitewash from the boat, you take one deep breath, and then that's it, you're gone. You dive as deep as you can. It's tough, and then you see dolphins, and once you get past the dolphins, you'll be a school of tuna, a whole wall. Maybe 200 of them. Getting a close shot on them's tough, but I'll make it happen.
Today we were gonna look for tuna again. We had such success yesterday. We really wanted to give that another chance, possibly find some mahi. As soon as we got offshore though, we were seeing massive waves, tons of wind. It was actually unbearable. I looked at Michael, the captain, and I said, hey, look, we gotta go into the reef. This isn't worth it. We're not gonna be successful here. So we hopped over to the reef, and it was pretty dirty. And we didn't have a lot of success for the most of the day until we got to the very last spot. When we got to the last spot, after the guys had gone down a few times, I actually made a run-in with a handful of really large Cuberas, all at 80 foot. So I told the guys, I said, hey, if you're gonna want one, you're gonna have to push it a little deeper right now. So the guys all did.
Big Cuberas?
Yeah.
Is what I'm marking.
Yeah. Lots of Cuberas, lots of
Guacamayos.
guacamayos, yeah. Could you even see them, CJ?
Oh yeah.
Like, how does the viz get better?
Oh yeah.
Like it wide open?
You saw
Yeah.
the you saw the rig?
Yeah, I saw the wreck. Chase made a couple really deep dives, just didn't connect. Joe, danger as well. He ended up with one that was a pretty nice size, I think 25-pound snapper, just because it displayed itself so perfectly. We shot it right through the eye. And then eventually the guys gave me an opportunity. I don't get an opportunity too often to shoot, but when I do, I try to make them count. So they gave me an opportunity, and I took one drop. I ended up stoning 35-pound Cubera. It was not the biggest one there. I saw a couple bigger ones, and I kind of, even, I see Cuberas all the time, but I still get that same feeling when you see a monster Cubera, right? You look at it, and it has the jaw, and even when its jaw is closed, it's so big that the teeth are sticking through. When they're that big, they do startle you a little bit. There is a moment where you realize you're in the presence of an apex predator. I looked at him, he looked at me, and he was out of there before I could do anything about it. So the consolation prize was this beautiful 35-pounder, which swam right up to me, and I was able to stone it. Didn't even twitch, which was nice because it made the ascent real easy. And actually, when I hit the surface, the guys didn't even know that I had shot, or they weren't sure if I shot. So it just made it better. Tomorrow, last day for these guys. I think there's going to be at least a handful of opportunities at some 40, 50-pound caliber Cubera snapper. Sometimes your body has to be right and your mind has to be right for these kind of hunts. I mean, these guys know that the Cuberas are going to be there. They know what depth it's going to be, but when it comes time to actually do it and that gun is in your hand and you're making that drop and you're taking that final breath, I think for a lot of people it actually kicks up the anxiety a little bit because you know what you're about to do. You're getting excited about the hunt that's about to take place, and that makes it a little difficult sometimes when you're talking about an environment that only has 5 to 10 foot of visibility when you get to the bottom. So you really need to be prepared and have the time to sit down there for a while and wait for something to show itself to you. So if visibility participates tomorrow, I think these guys who've been putting in the time, right? They did the tuna grind. They eventually got rewarded with it, right? They put in the Cubera snapper grind, and they've gotten little tastes of it. With guacamayos, smaller Cuberas, things like that were landed. But I do think they got the system down. They understand how to hunt here. Being the third day, they're definitely warmed up and ready. So tomorrow is when everything comes together, and hopefully we end up putting a couple really nice fish in the boat.
Nice one.